Today, I'm gonna grow some metal. To get started, I'll need some tin, and I bought all of this from eBay. It's a bit dirty though, and I'll have to clean it up. I'll do this by adding a bunch to a dish and blasting it with a blowtorch. The melting point of tin is quite low, and it's really easy to melt. A lot of the impurities will float to the surface, and if I'm careful, I can pour away the clean metal. What I have to do now is spread it out as much as I can. I honestly kind of failed doing this, but I think it still turned out okay. The tin that I have now is way cleaner, and I'll cut it into some smaller pieces. On top of this, I'll add some concentrated hydrochloric acid, and I'll turn on the hot plate. Over the next 24 hours, the tin slowly disappeared. It was all turning into tin 2 chloride, and at some point, I added some extra acid. When pretty much all the metal was gone, I felt that it was done. I waited for it to cool down, and then I poured some into a small dish that was connected to some batteries. Now to grow the crystals, all I have to do is connect the red wire. Almost immediately, something started growing. This was all tin, and it was forming as some really nice metal crystals. This was happening because the batteries were giving electrons to the tin 2 chloride and turning it back into its metallic form. When it eventually made it to the other side, I disconnected it, and I poked at the crystals. All of this is actual metal, and I think that it's really cool that I made it using electricity. For a long time now, I've wanted to try recycling some aluminum cans. So, I went ahead and bought a large propane furnace. To get started, I just dropped in a large match, and I slowly opened the gas valve. After letting it preheat for a while, I dropped in a large crucible. I then closed the lid, and I waited for it to get nice and hot. I then dropped in one of the cans, and I thought it was really satisfying to see it shrivel up and melt. It also stank a bit, and it let off some smoke that probably wasn't very healthy to breathe. But anyway, all I had to do now was drop in the rest of the cans. After adding all of them, it kind of looked like a mess. However, after scooping away the slag, I actually saw some nice and liquid aluminum metal. At this point, it was looking pretty good, so I pulled out the crucible. I then carefully poured it into a preheated graphite mold. I let it sit there for a bit, and after a few minutes, I flipped it over. This gave me a nice little aluminum brick, but it was still really hot. After cooling it down, I cleaned it up a bit, and I now have a nice and shiny bar of aluminum. Okay, so I've decided to do a chemical reaction that, in my opinion, kind of looks like magic. The first thing that I need is a bit of cornstarch, and I'll mix this with some boiling water. A small amount of the cornstarch didn't dissolve, and to clear it up a bit, I'll just pour it through some coffee filters. It took a little while to finish, but when it was eventually done, I added some hydrogen peroxide. I'll mark this one as part B, and the next thing that I have to do is make the part A. To do this, I'll need some pills, and I picked up some vitamin C. I only need 2 of them, and all I have to do is crush them and mix them with water. What I'm doing here is pulling out the vitamin C from the pill and leaving behind a bunch of filler. Like before, I'll dump this into some coffee filters to clean it up a bit. Now that it's done, I'll add an entire bottle of iodine disinfectant. The color of it immediately disappears, and this is because the vitamin C is reacting with the iodine. On top of this, I'll add a bunch of water, and that's it for part A. Now, all I need to do is mix together these 2 solutions. At first, it doesn't seem like anything is happening, and it basically does nothing for over a minute. It takes such a long time that I often think I messed something up, but then it suddenly changes. This is called the iodine clock reaction, and I think it's pretty cool.